Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey was an underwhelming, underproduced and rushed attempt to jump onto the expired copyright of the beloved characters from children's stories and churn out a low-budget, schlocky horror. The film was clearly rushed out so fast that no effort was made to write anything even half decent, get anything remotely reasonable out the cast, or offer anything creative to the idea. But it cost only $100,000 and it grossed over $5 million, which means it was a success. And so a sequel promising the arrival of other inhabitants of 100 Acre Wood, including Tigger, was greenlit. With a bigger budget and more time to think through the idea, could this actually deliver something worthwhile? The simple answer is a resounding no. I wasn't a fan of the first film, and indeed I gave it a pitiful half-star rating. So why did I watch this? Well, curiosity more than anything else, and a small hope that the idea could grow into something worthwhile. After all, I often say how I love low-budget concept horrors, with films such as Zombievers, Slaughterhouse, and all of those Sharknado, Sharktopus, etc. trashy films, and with the planned Pooniverse announced, which will offer horror takes on Bambi, Pinocchio, and Peter Pan, my morbid curiosity got the better of me. Now, it's fair to say that this is a better film than the first entry, but that's not much of an achievement. On the positives, the prosthetics for the creatures is pretty good, with even more character and definition being added than what we saw in the first film. Tigger is a tad underwhelming, but Pooh and Owl in particular came over creepily well. The acting is better than the first film, with Scott Chambers replacing Nikolai Leon in the role of Christopher Robin for this entry, and that was a great choice, because Leon was utterly dreadful. He failed to deliver any lines without them feeling like he was reading them on a page for the first time. Chambers is, I hesitate to say it, quite good. The story adds in a dark origin for the bear and his friends that actually seems somewhat thought out, almost giving the film something heartfelt to latch onto. Sadly, however, it all becomes a splatterfest far too swiftly and far too frequently, and the effects work is underwhelming, especially with the inclusion of some atrocious CGI elements that sadly undo any practical gore on display. It's also, and this is the problem the first film had, far too serious in its approach. Come on, this is a horror version of Winnie the Pooh. The concept alone is bonkers, so why not lean into that a little bit and have fun with it, rather than making it feel like a subpar Friday the 13th film? Those trashy low-budget horrors that I mentioned earlier on all knew what they were, and despite being low quality, are all boosted by the fact that they don't take themselves seriously at all. You can enjoy them by laughing along with them as they throw out gross horror in sometimes comedic ways. With Blood and Honey too, there's zero humour to alleviate the constant barrage of oppressive carnage, and the end result is 94 minutes of poorly handled ideas. The end credit reel has sketches of some of the other Pooniverse characters that we can expect to see, teasing the future of this low-budget franchise. And I'll be honest, and I'll admit that I'm still on board to check them out, but I'm not sure how much longer for, as even though the quality of this film was a step up over the previous film, I can't see things getting that much better. Whilst the other films in the Quiet Place series were directed by and co-written by John Krasinski and focused on one family surviving in a world ravaged by creatures that react to sound, this sidestep, or backstep, for the franchise throws us back to the events that started it all. Krasinski has plans to make a third and final part of his trilogy, but has allowed others to tell additional stories within the framework, offering story ideas for creators to play with. For this film, Michael Sarnoski, who gave us the marvellous Pig in 2021, steps behind the camera to focus on a new bunch of survivors. Samira, played by Lupita Nyong'o, is a terminally ill cancer patient living at a hospice in New York with her support cat, Frodo. A day out for the care unit takes them into the heart of Manhattan and thrusts the group into the chaos that erupts as chunks of meteors plummet to the ground, swiftly followed by the emergence of the creatures who target any sound and attack. Knocked unconscious in the early chaos, Samira awakens inside a theatre where another survivor, Henry, played by Jaimon Hounsou, who's reprising the role that he played in the second film, tells her to stay quiet as military helicopters fly overhead, alerting survivors that the things attacking are drawn to sound, swiftly followed by the thunderous chaos of creatures chasing down the noise that those helicopters are making. To survive, the remaining population must make their way to the South Piers for rescue. But Samira has other plans and sets off to seek out the last slice of pizza available. Along the way, encountering a terrified lone survivor, Eric, played by Joseph Quinn, with the pair forming an awkward alliance. Early on in the film, as the meteors strike and clouds of dust billow through the streets of Manhattan, obscuring the creatures attacking in a chaotic and disorientating manner, the film sets out the level of spectacle that it's going to have on offer. And as the film opens up, we see a destroyed city. We're delivered plenty of moments of thrill and tension as Samira tracks her way through this decimation, encountering peril after peril along her journey. But the spectacle and the struggle for survival isn't the actual story here. And it becomes clear pretty early on that Samira's journey is a personal one as she picks a cautious path through the desolation to reconnect with memories of a happier time. Nyong'o is magnificent in the central role, starting the film with an almost antagonistic attitude to those around her. With her facing terminal illness, she's got no time for niceties with anyone aside from her cat. But when, at the midpoint of the film, she encounters Eric, she starts to soften as she unwillingly becomes a beacon of hope for his survival, opening up to him about her life and finding a reason to fight for survival. Quinn is a perfect opposite for her to play against, and he more than delivers in creating a character that we care and worry for, and we root for him to survive. One of the things that I loved about the second film was how it opened up the world setting somewhat, while still leaving questions as to how far the creature's reach had grown. This film once more builds on that knowledge, and pretty early on makes clear that this attack is not isolated to the US shores. With regards to the creatures, we learn nothing new that we didn't already know from the other films, but as with those films, the human aspect and the grappling with your own fate is what you're really drawn into. The closing moments of the film feel earned and impactful, and they linger in your mind long after the credits run. A Quiet Place Day One offers a strong sidestep that complements the previous films, whilst also serving itself well as its own standalone story. If indeed the next film is the last one in the main series, this is a film that shows that there may still be other personal journeys that can be effectively told within this framework, and it bodes well for the future of one of the smartest franchises of recent history.